Nowadays, my tea making process is a 1, 2, 3 step. I boil the water, I take an unused tea bag, put it in the water, let it cool for 5 minutes. Step 3, I forget I made the tea. When I come back in 20 minutes, the tea is cold and dark. So dark, the Black Lagoon. You imagine a white Nosferatu face coming out. It's tea time. And what is that skin on top? You know, like petrol. I mean, you drink that. But tea for me stems from my childhood. And I'd like to tell you a curious story about something that happened when I was young. My father took myself and me and my father went for a drive into the country, into the bush. And I was sitting there in the back seat. My father was in the front seat driving, concentrating on the traffic, and my young mind was starting to go into overdrive. I was thinking, why isn't my mother out on this trip? And I was thinking about, at the time, a Bob Dylan song from Highway 61 Revisited. And the song went, God said to Abraham, kill me a son. Abe said, where do you want this killing done? God said, out on highway number 61. And just then, a sign went past with the number 6 and 1 on it. My father was taking me out into the bush to sacrifice me. I mean, I could understand it. I mean, I'd read the Grimm Brothers, Hansel and Gretel. I mean, it made economic sense. Children were an economic burden. And, I mean, without children, my father could have been a famous explorer or a spy. You know, I mean, James Bond didn't have children. Hold that martini. I have to take the kids to bed. When we got there, my father didn't kill me. I mean, he made a picnic. And this is where I'm trying to get to, was out in the bush, you don't put the kettle on, you make a fire. And you take a tea canister, can, with a handle on it. This is in Australia, this is called a billy. You set the water out on the fire until it boils, and then you take a handful of tea and you throw it into the belly until it cooks, then you take it off the fire and you let it cool down. And you can drink it like that if you like. But you get a lot of tea that leaves between your teeth. So, I mean, if you're a real professional, you take the tea and you swing it in 360 degrees so that the centrifugal force forces the tea leaves to the bottom of the billy. And then you can drink the tea without the tea leaves problem. And this is what my father started doing. He started swinging this billy, you know, and I could see that behind him was the Australian sun shining through, and there was a shadow going past my face as my father was swinging this tea. It was like a disco effect, you know, like where the farmers are on a wind farm. And I mean, it's quite frightening. I mean, as he was swinging this boiling liquid around, I thought, he is really going to kill me. I mean, not intentionally, but maybe accidentally. Or some passing kangaroo was going to get it. But I survived. And we finished the picnic and got back into the car. And we were driving back into the city, and I was enjoying being back into the city, the smells, and also having the feeling that I'd sort of gone through an experience. I'd had this fear and I'd survived, and when we got back home, my mother was there at home. She stood up, and as all mothers do, she recognised that I'd made a development. And she came out and said the words, "I'll put the kettle on."